Well, is Canonical / Ubuntu the Apple or Windows of Linux? No. No, they're not. It's this is going to be a rant, by the way. I find it hilarious. I find it funny that people are using that to describe Canonical or Ubuntu. They are locking people into their technology, snap packages and stuff like that. They are trying to do what Windows and Apple are doing on the proprietary software side. So therefore, they want to be Apple and Windows for Linux. No. What they are doing is aligned with what businesses are doing in any form of life. They are making sure that they are making as much money as possible, of course, and that their products is sustainable, and that people are using their products, and they are building an ecosystem, like Windows and Mac, FreeBSD, any other company that's doing that. Look at other companies in open source. A lot of open source companies are doing the exact same thing. Red Hat. You can't use Red Hat products, or maybe you can, but it's really difficult. But Red Hat, beside the Red Hat distribution, they have a lot of other technologies, storage technologies, artificial intelligence technologies, server technologies, and so on, that actually only are being used or seem to only be working on the Red Hat. So if you want to use, let's say, Red Hat's file system, whatever the fuck it's called, you have to run Red Hat Linux. You're locked down to Red Hat. And that's just like, if you go onto their website and you look at their services and their products, it's a massive fucking laundry list. SUSE. You want to use Rant, you have to use SUSE. If you want to use SUSE's microservice, you have to run SUSE. If you want to use SUSE storage management and blah, 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 you have to run SUSE. That's what big companies do. They have a product, they build and extend that product with new and exciting product, hopefully, or services that migrate or are migrating morphed into the product that they have. So they're building an ecosystem. That's what companies do. They've been doing that since the fucking beginning of a company. You have one product, but to make sure that you make more money, you're more sustainable, your customers don't have to go out of their way to find things to work for them, so they have to be, let's say, buy 10 different products. They try to do everything they can for their customer base to just be within their ecosystem, because it makes it easier and more convenient for the customers. They can just go to Ubuntu for Linux, server management, server infrastructure, and stuff like that. They don't have to go to Canonical, Red Hat, SUSE, Bob's company, Josephine's company, and all these companies to get basically a server farm up and running. They can just stick within the Canonical ecosystem. The same with Red Hat. They have Linux, they have server infrastructure products and stuff like that. So when the customer are going to run Linux on the server, they don't have to go out to, again, SUSE, Canonical, Bob, Josephine's companies. They can stay within the Red Hat ecosystem. That also means it's easier to support, it's easier to get help, it's cheaper to have support agreement with them, and all of these kind of things. They're building up an ecosystem around their products, meaning that they have a lot of products working together, and they work best or perfectly or only within their own ecosystem. That's also how Adobe works. That's how Autodesk work, that's how Microsoft work, that's how macOS work, that's how almost any company in the world work. They have one product to begin with, they extend the product range to help their customers out, to give them cheaper and more efficient setups, workflow, support, and you name it. It's basic knowledge. So they are criticizing Ubuntu for using Snap. It's a canonical technology. It's part of the ecosystem I just talked about. Of course they're going to use Snap packages. Why would they bundle flat packages with Ubuntu? It's kind of like Apple saying, oh, fuck iPhone, we're going to make Android phones right now. And it's not built, Android phones, we all know, are not built into the Apple ecosystem. It's not talking so well with the Apple ecosystem. But hey, Let's just do it on an iPhone. Yeah, that's just for select few. Fuck that shit. Let's use Androids from now on. Of course they are not going to do that. They have invested a shit ton of money into the infrastructure, into the programs, the services, the technologies that they have developed. Of course they're not going to use a competitor's product. Because, like it or not, Flat Packages is a competitor to Snaps. Ubuntu is competing with Red Hat, Fedora, Arch, Debian, any other distribution for users. Any distribution is competing with any other distribution for users. For some reason, Linux people think that, oh, it's one big fucking happy, organic world and we are all sharing the same users. No, they're not. So, of course, they're trying to keep the users there by providing them services, tools, so they don't have to find other places to go. It makes sense. It's what a business does. So here's the thing. If you think Linux is not going down the rabbit hole of what Microsoft and Apple is doing, you are so fucking wrong. Because why is Windows the way Microsoft, by the way, why is Microsoft the way Microsoft is? Why is Apple the way Apple is? Corporate structure, culture. Look at Mozilla. They are doing a lot of fucking crazy shit, man. That's anti-consumer, anti-user. And they are, for all intents and purposes, a free or an open source project. But they are also a massive corporation, or there is a corporation behind them. I think it's called the Mozilla Foundation or something to that nature. It's what businesses do. They try to fulfill a need in a market and give users what they need. On top of that, they of course also want to keep the lights on, so they try to make money. They also want to turn a profit if they are a for-profit company. And they want to make more money than they did last year. Those are universal for any organization that works within those parameters. If your job is to fulfill a market need, make money to keep the lights on, if you are a non-profit organization, that's kind of it. But if you're a for-profit corporation, you put in, we also want to make money out of this, make a profit out of this. So they of course are doing things to make a profit, and that's if you're open source, closed source, free software, non-free software, proprietary. This is universal for any fucking company. Okay? It's just what it is. That's how they work. Our organization is a little bit a selfish fucking narcissistic entity. They do everything they can to keep themselves alive. And it don't matter, again, what fucking umbrella you put them on. In the end, an organization's main purpose is to keep itself alive. Either to fulfill a need or provide a service. Which is kind of the same thing here. But they're providing a service, via program or some other things. But if you think about it, what is the main focus of any organization? Well, it is to keep itself alive. They want donations or they want money and stuff like that. So they start to use a lot of tactics that's universal because they work. They have worked for hundreds of years. And a lot of those tactics are the same tactics as big corporations are using nowadays. So that's why when you look at it, you're like, oh, they're doing a lot of the same as the other side is doing. So that must mean that they want to be like the other side. No, it's because they're using standard business practices. It's all it is. Red Hat is doing exactly the same thing as Canonical. SUSE is doing exactly the same thing as Canonical. But we don't get a scream about those. Why? Because they're not the biggest Linux distribution in the world. Like, I will even debate that Red Hat is by far the worst open source company in the world. Look what they did with CentOS. Do you honestly believe that you took away CentOS, the current or the previous form of CentOS, because it was not out-competing their main product, Red Hat Linux? Of course they did. It was more used than Red Hat Linux was used. And for all intents and purposes, it was just Red Hat Linux without the branding. Of course they didn't want to have that around. It cost them money. That's why they fucking canned it for CentOS Steam, I think it's called. Or Stream, I can't remember the name right now. That's a totally different beast. Of course they did. How is that not anti-consumer and something you should be massively fucking angry about? How many talked about that? Not even a handful of content creators. If you want to say that Canonical wants to be Apple for Linux or Windows for Linux, know at least the basics of what the fuck you're talking about. Please. Because it makes no sense if you're just saying it like that. What is your base? Oh, they want you to use Snaps. You do know that Snaps is built by Canonical, right? It kind of makes sense that they want to use their technology. Because they just put a lot of effort and money into it. And here's the thing. The more popular and the more successful companies within the free and open source world becomes, the more fucking crazy shit they will do. Windows is not evil. You know, Microsoft is evil. The people behind Microsoft is evil. And why are they doing all of that evil shit? To keep being number one. To keep their market. To keep the money flowing. To keep being the top dog in the OS market. Had that been Linux, they would have doing the exact same thing, or used a lot of the same practices. They may not have taken telemetry, but they will be anti-consumer in so many fucking other ways that you can't even count them. Because the problem with Windows or Microsoft or Apple as companies is not just that they take telemetry and not just that they take user data. That's 2 points out of all of the fucking crazy shit they are doing. Stealing ideas, copying other people's work without crediting them. Being aggressive in the market, locking down a market so they don't have any choice other than to use their services or their products and stuff like that. They are doing so many things that are way worse for you as a consumer than they are taking your telemetry and data. And trust me, if Linux become as big as Windows and Mac or Apple, Linux companies will do or open source companies will do the exact same practices. They will do anything to stay relevant within that market. Anything. They will use any tactics they can to stay or grow or keep the market share that they are on. They of course want it to grow. That's the nature or that's the organism of basically a company. Any organization or company are not happy with just staying where they are. They always want to get bigger. It's kind of a little bit like looking at it like an organism, as I said. Like they want to grow. They want to get bigger. And they can do it for good reasons or bad reasons. And they can do it because they think they are helping the world, or they can do it because they just want a shit ton of money. All this comes down to understand what you're talking about. I'm a little bit tired. I've been in it for fucking over a decade with YouTube. That people running into the comment section are fucking having a mouth diarrhea of things saying in there, and none of it makes sense. It's uninformed. It's what is called, you know, it's not based on any facts whatsoever. They're just spewing out what someone has said in a video. When I hear people say, "Oh, Windows wants to be like Canonical wants to be the new Apple and Linux," or Canonical wants to be the Windows and Mac, the Windows and Apple of Linux. All I hear is DT, 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 DT in my ears. Because he's one of the big ones that say that. To some extent, the Linux experiment also. So when you're saying that, you're not coming out with an original thought. You're not coming out with a fact-based thought. You're just mirroring what DistroTube is saying. I've even said that at some point, Canonical was trying to do what Apple is doing under Linux. Why? They made the Apple phone, the Ubuntu touch interface. It made the touch interface for TVs and phones and stuff like that. You know, in the early 2010s, they spent a lot of effort to basically bring Linux to the phone market instead of doing the Android things, putting Linux onto basically all the devices Apple was on or Mac OS was on. So you could say, oh, they're trying to mirroring what Apple is doing. Yeah, but it didn't work for them. Force you to use snaps. That's what every company do. Red Hat, SUSE, any company, if they are building a product, they are trying to want you to use that product. They are putting that product in front of you. They are bundling that product with their other services to make you use it. I'll see you all later, man. I need to drink.